We do have, I think, a theist caller. Welcome, Zealous from Missouri. You're on Talk Heathen. How are you?
How are you doing? How you doing, guys?
Not bad. Great. So, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Two things. I want to say this. Okay, so I'm a skeptic and a believer. Skeptic as far as like my mindset of how I came. I was raised, not raised into a Christian home and nothing like that. Just very critical when it comes to thinking. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to say was very quick. It was about how the other guy previously was cut off very quick, but he was cut off and misrepresented. But he was talking about slavery, but he was giving an analogy, but it was assumed and closed. So to me, I've had bad relationships with some atheists and theists too, but atheists, since we're on the topic and we're in that room, I've been treated that way before. It's not a good feeling. I do remember those days it even makes me nervous even thinking about it, that people could be that way and cut people off and then misrepresent them after that.
Can I just cut you off all over again? Yeah. Without wanting to trigger you too much. It's quite interesting that you are giving a reason for calling that's completely different from the reason you gave our call screeners, which is, why do you feel the need to do that?
I apologize.
It's okay. And Zealous, let's say this. Situf can tell us how we treat her. She can handle herself. All right. You called in to talk about how atheism is a religion of some sort. So let's get straight to the point. How so?
To that point,
tell us,
sure.
Tell us how.
Okay, thank you, bro. Okay. Religion. When I was researching like the etymology, the reason why, first of all, I understand what atheists mean about that, actually. The reason why I understand it is because it's called understanding, and also they're trying not to be a part of anything that associates itself with the imaginary character. You know what I'm saying? Something that you can't, really see or so much, quote unquote, prove, you know what I'm saying? And so I understand why they say they don't want to be labeled in religion, because they're not doing the things that Christianity is doing and Islam is doing. And so that makes sense based off the definition of today,
we do some of the same
based off the definition of the etymology of that word, which it's good sometimes to go to the origin. A lot of us like to debate origins and stuff like that. And I think the origin brings us back, because I learned this at church one time. Someone taught me, like, basically religion means which means to bring back to, and then jion, or something like that, religion. I think it's taught to lecture or to bind, or something like that, to bind a bond together, or something like that, or cohesiveness, something like that. And so any group that brings people back to a cohesive thought or theory or something like that, whatever, that is religion. That's where that comes from. So to me, I think, we're all religious in some way. We come back to something, and we bind ourselves to something. I play the game Call of Duty, so that's my, in a sense, religion in some sense. You know what I mean? I don't mean that with the God in that. You don't have to be with the God in order to be religious. But today, the connotation goes towards God. So I think what it's good to understand both sides. So, but when you don't know history, you repeat it. And I think sometimes when it comes to atheism, it's kind of like not exactly Islam, but in the debate rooms I've been in, everyone with religion, everyone thinks that they're doing something new, and they are, but they're doing something new on the other side. It's like a yin and yang. It's like on the inverted side, you're doing something new, but on the other side, you're not. You're kind of repeating it, but different details. But without
Zealous,
it's weird.
Zealous,
I'm not explaining that.
Yeah, Zealous. I want to focus you a little bit here, okay? Because I think you've got a lot of thoughts, and I don't think we've ever spoken. I don't remember you being in any other shows. Have you been in any other call-in shows before?
No, sir. I just someone referred me to it in one of the posts on Facebook, and they said, "Hey, call in, give this."
We are glad you did. So it's your first time calling. We love to have you call in. Mm-hmm. There is a tendency of new callers to want to say everything at once. So let's bring it on back to the very beginning, back to the purpose of your call. All right, that atheism is a religion, and you went into the etymology of religion, and I went ahead and you know what, I didn't know that, so thank you. I looked that up. There is a Latin root, and that's great, but definitions are not fixed, as you know. Definitions of words change over time, and I think the use of the word religion, there's a whole bunch of different uses. You say you play a lot of Call of Duty. I watch a lot of Star Trek. Well, I have, but that, because I've seen it all at this point. But that doesn't mean that we necessarily belong to the religion of Call of Duty or the religion of Star Trek. I mean, by some definition, I don't think that my enjoyment of Star Trek, my occasional, I want to see that episode where Riker had that phasing cloak, and I want to go watch that one where he's on the Pegasus. That's not a religious rite that I go through. I don't give money to a church that has a dogma of Star Trek. I mean, I might click on, a website that has information about Captain Jellicoe on that one episode where he took over the Enterprise. I don't have certain rites and rituals that I engage in. Like, I don't put on my outfit with my communicator and my fake tricorder. I don't sit in a room and sing songs. Although, I might know the lyrics to, or the dialogue to Ode to Spot. I might know it. I might not know it. But that doesn't mean that I'm of a religion. It just means I'm a fan. So can we separate fan from religious devotee? I think we can. Here's what the definition on the internet says. All right.
Also together because they're very similar. Normally, some people don't know that they're doing things like that's what's tricky about even our governments and stuff like that. There's things, it could be an ultimate sense too. Like, remember, religion starts from one point and then it spreads out to millions of points. Because
but I think what Johnny is saying is that words matter. It's one thing for you to have your own version of what religion means in your head that's based on etymology, but the problem that you're going to have is that when you get into conversations with people who are using the dictionary definition, they're not going to have a clue what you're talking about. So if you're interested in being understood, and especially if you're interested in persuading people, you're going to have to use words in a way that we can all agree on. And the easiest way of doing that is to use words according to the dictionary definition, which, quite frankly, disagrees with your definition.
Right. Okay. So if we're using it, well, Zealous, real quick. So do you understand what we're saying? That we don't consider ourselves to be...
That's why I gave both definitions. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I would think that there must be rights. There must be probably a dogma of some sort. There must be an excluding of certain ideas. I mean, sure, we all do that, but there's no hierarchy. There is no sense of the supernatural necessary to not believing in the existence of God or gods. So how is atheism a religion in that sense? If you with those,
or to word it a different way, how is the rejection of religion a religion?
Yes. How is the rejection of religion a religion? Okay. How is not collecting stamps a hobby?
I think we're like talking about. Okay, so specific religions has specific details that they do, and I think if we get caught up on those details, of what has been done today or in our past, then the goalpost keeps moving. It's not goalposts for you guys as far as like debating wise. I'm not saying you're moving your goalposts. I'm saying religion is ever creating all the time. Since it's ever creating and always changing and stuff like that, there's always going to be certain things that you think that religion has to have, and that's why I'm saying it's good to know the language that people are talking about. That's why I said both definitions like that, because that's just communication. But even church members and Christians, they always say, I'm not even religious. I love relationship. That's a big thing they always say, because they understand what the problem that was here in the, the colonial Christianity, you know what I'm saying? And so when, I say that specifically, but I'm saying, when it comes to the details, God, or leader and all these things, those are things that can be put in religion and stuff like that, or singing and not singing. In Islam, they don't believe in music, but we believe in music. So religion is subjective. And so when someone is saying we are not a religion because we don't have so-and-so, I'm saying to them that's not even so-and-so, and all that stuff right there don't matter. If you get distracted by all that stuff, yes, that's cool. Those are the details. But if you bring it back to the etymology, you'll see that it's not subjected to singing or music or a god. You can mention a god, which that's our
again, etymology. Etymology tells you how a word developed. It doesn't tell you what a word means. I think that's where you and I are at an impasse, because we don't define words based on their etymology. We as Johnny said earlier, the definition of words is in a state of flux basically throughout time. And again, if you're interested in being understood, and if you're interested in having a conversation, particularly with people that you're going to disagree with, definitions matter, and we need to be on the same page. And I'm just not on the same page with you that we can redefine religion based on etymology. It's just a non-starter for me.
I want to say this, big bro. I want to say this because I'm listening, and I'm like, that's kind of like, in a sense, 3 times. Like, I'm very understood when I talk in person. I'm very understood. On the phone, I don't know about that. A clubhouse may not be, because there's moderators, and anytime there's moderators, there's hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the God complex, but it's also just order. You know what I'm saying? They will argue it's just order. That you started it, so you got the right. It's like the God complex in a sense, but it's like when you're talking one-on-one and you see I'm a man, you a man, and we're at Speaker Square or corner or something like that, or outside hanging out talking, then we can actually have a good discussion, and I won't be misunderstood. The reason why I won't be misunderstood is because when you're with somebody, you want them to be understood, like in person. Depending on the person.
Amen to that one. It's always easier to have conversations in person, isn't it? And it's always easier for conversations to deteriorate, and for people to not want to try to find common ground when they're speaking online, especially in forums or especially on Twitter. I totally agree with you there.
I did want to conclude like what I was kind of saying. I understand what you're saying, and what you're saying speaks to the millions of people that's through us, that's going to be friends with us. You communicated very well that it needs to be understood that this is the nowadays definition, and using the etymology doesn't just get you there. It only shows you bits and bones a little bit of where it came from. I understand that. So me understanding that, and you guys understanding the nowadays and the etymology, bringing this all together, one thing I can conclude from this is that we are right and we're wrong. Like when it comes to atheists being a religion and not being a religion, we're right and we're wrong, based off whichever one we're going to use. And I'm not trying to use both of them just to play with it. It's just to say that some things get corrupted over time to mean a certain thing because the ever-changing evolution of us existing. So when theists say that to atheists, they're speaking in a sense almost like a bigger brother, or like when it comes to not exactly bigger brother, but I'm saying this figuratively because they're saying, listen, the hell that we're going through, the people that's trying to get rid of this quote unquote religious spirit, you're going to go through it. I know it doesn't look like it because you don't believe in a God, but you are our brothers and sisters. And whenever the realm that you create, or the cities that you create, or the new world that you create, you're going to face the same thing. I'm telling you, if you don't see it, then you're bound to repeat it. It's just like history. And Islam does the same thing Christianity does, and they don't know it since they're like they come after. Atheism been here way before all of this.
Look, Zealous, I'm gonna assume, because you sound like a really nice guy and someone who I could imagine having a really productive conversation with if we met in a bar, I'm going to assume that you're not interested in needlessly offending people. Okay? And that being the case, you should know that it is offensive to tell an atheist who takes the position, I disavow religion, I disavow belief in the supernatural. It is offensive to say to them, oh, well, that's a religion. And frankly, it sounds a little bit like, oh, well, we're just the same. You know, you don't get to differentiate yourself from me. I'm dragging you back into the club that you claim to have left. And let's be very clear, in some countries, people become atheists at risk of execution. That's how serious this stuff is. You know, there are penalties attached to walking away from belief in the supernatural. In my own case, I've had to deal with a broken family with my 2 children not knowing their grandfather who's shunning them, because our family has made a conscientious decision to walk away from belief in the supernatural. So assuming that you are in practice as nice as you sound, I would just ask you respectfully, as one human being talking to another human being, to rethink this whole approach of, I'm going to tell atheists they're religious, because they're just not, and it's offensive.
Zealous, we should let you go, but I want you to think about this, and I really want you to call back. Okay, Zealous, hang on, wait, hang on. Hey, Zealous, there's a delay. It's not your fault. Think about it's almost a cliche. How is not collecting stamps a hobby? Now, don't answer now. Go home, think about it, call back, because I think there's a lot of interesting topics that we could have with you here on the show, Zealous, and I'm so glad that you called us, and I wish you a good rest of your weekend, and I can't wait to see you on next week or the week after, whenever you get a chance to call us again. Okay?